Hello Summer Fire Cosplay, back with another tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you how I make my faux stained glass for cosplay that you can sew on or use in accessories. You're going to need a clear plastic tarp with the edges cut off, scissors, X-Acto knife, metal leaf glue, scorch markers gloss, masking tape, your Cricut cut vinyl piece that you wish to decorate, various colored tissue papers, something to rub to transfer your vinyl, and then a hard surface to tape the vinyl on. So now, let's learn how to make. So after you have cut out the piece of tarp that you need that's the appropriate size to your design, you're going to take the masking tape and tape that down really good and tight. Then, very carefully, we're going to take our vinyl cut design and place it as centered as we can on the tarp. Then we're going to take our flat little rubber object, get that on there really, really good. We're going to make sure everything transferred nicely. It can be a little difficult to peel off the transfer tape from the tarp. You don't want to get any super strong transfer tape, otherwise it will kind of rip everything off. But when it's all said and done, you should have a nice clean piece just like that. Next, I'll show you how to apply color. So to apply color, you need to start with the darkest color and go to the lightest color. Because if any of the tissue paper overlaps, it's going to really show through on the other side. Now, one little trick I have found that makes this a lot easier is if you go through with just a wet paintbrush and kind of wet down where you want that color to go first, the tissue paper tends to stick to that area far better than if you were just to go in with the glue directly. So now that I have my water, I'm just going to lay my red tissue paper on top. And as you see, it really comes through. I'm doing my best to not have it bleed onto the other sections. And right now I'm just doing the water. But once I'm done here, I'm going to take this metal leaf glue and go right on over that. And I really encourage you to use brushes that you do not care about, because most of the time at the end of this process, you will be throwing this brush away. So now I'm just going to very, very carefully tap, 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 tap. You see how fast that spread? This does take quite a bit of patience to complete, but I guarantee you the end result is worth it. So after your glue has completely dried, you're going to want to take your X-Acto or hobby knife and extremely carefully trace along the black edges of where you want the color. This is probably the most tedious process, and sometimes it doesn't want to stick super well, so you'll have to take the back end and do it like this. And just very carefully peel away that paper like so. So after you have very, very carefully cut and removed the paper, just keep in mind it does not have to look super pretty. This is the back side. But once you've done that, you're going to want to take your scorch markers gloss and you're going to want to very carefully go over all of the paper area that we just did. And I know this seems silly and redundant, but what we are doing is we are sealing the tissue paper and we're also making it non-sticky. The metal leaf glue leaves that sticky tacky residue, and we really don't want that because we want to try to minimize any color transfer. Oh, well, that one took off. With the next color. So the reason I recommend scorch markers versus Mod Podge, this stuff is flexible. So if you're sewing this onto a cosplay, it will not crack. So you're gonna wanna have a flexible sealer, and I recommend gloss because a mattifying effect will not have the shiny look that we want for stained glass. So now that our other layer has dried, we are going to take our next color and we are going to repeat the process. So we're just going to fill in some of the areas we want with the new color with water first, and then we are going to add the metal leaf glue. So now that I have cut out my secondary color, I've given it a good generous swashing of our scorch marker. I'm going to take a white piece of tissue and put it over the top. This just kind of helps keep all of those little bits of tissue paper in one spot, and it helps keep things from coming off or moving around. So now that it's all dry, you're gonna carefully remove the white tissue paper as best as you can. Doesn't have to look pretty. Once you've done that, you're going to want to take off your vinyl. This is what it should look like on the other side. And just to show you a better view, I've put some white fabric, and you see how vibrant those colors are. From here, if you're going to put it into an accessory, you can go ahead and glue it. If you're going to sew it, I do recommend leaving a little bit of space to cut out around the vinyl, and then taking some trim or some bias tape and go around your design so that it makes it a lot easier to sew. But this is the tutorial on how to make faux stained glass.